look, I could sit here and say which is the most important transaction from this past season and past March, which was off the charts. But the one that we know is going to have the longest ripple effect in this league is without a doubt the fully guaranteed deal for Deshaun Watson. And I'm wondering how you see this playing out, that there's going to have to be an owner in this league that stares at his, generationally talented kid quarterback who he is deeply and madly in love with, and why not? Because of how good he is and how, to use the Mayock phrase, clean off the field that he is, and say to that person, I'm not guaranteeing every single dollar. I'm not putting that much money in escrow. Sorry. Right? I mean, that's the way it's going to go, or an owner is just going to have to do this because the Haslams just did for somebody that had 22 civil suits hanging over his head. What do you think, Joe?
I think it's going to be really hard to be the owner that says that. Although when we think about the quarterbacks that are now or within a year going to get those new contracts, we have some of the owners that if anybody's going to say it, they're going to say it. I mean, Mike Brown is, I guarantee you, not happy with what happened, and he's a year away from having to sign a guy that just carried a team to the Super Bowl. San Diego's a year away from needing to sign Justin Herbert. Not sure what's going on in Baltimore, but they presumably would like to sign their quarterback at any moment. These are mid-revenue to low-profit teams, and they bring the league back to a point where there were legitimate debates about whether low-profit teams versus high-profit teams was affecting the competitive balance in the NFL. So I know we're in the weeds a little bit for the average fan, but this is going to affect you and your team sooner or later. And it will affect a lot of quarterbacks, a lot of contracts sooner or later, and some quarterbacks right away. So, some owner's going to get a lot of pressure to do that, whoever's doing the next deal. Because one deal, when you're negotiating, you can explain as an outlier, an aberration. You start to see 2 deals or 3 deals, a precedent is now established, and you don't have a case to make. So we've got a couple of owners. If anybody's going to take that hard position and at least postpone doing the deal. Remember, they could keep Burrow for 3 more years and 2 tags. It's Cincinnati is the most likely team in the whole league to do that. So at least in terms of how far he took his team, they just had the quarterback that's the best of the group I just mentioned. So this is going to affect everything. And you're right. There not many owners are sitting with $200 million they can just put into an escrow account. And I know that sounds funny to the public because they're so wealthy, but they're just not structured in a way that that's a natural thing to do or a smart thing to do, frankly, in most instances.
So what about Arizona? Don't you think that maybe whatever, last time you were on, we talked about that, and I have it here still because, again, his stationery is so impressive, the Kyler Murray stationery that Eric Burkhart sent out his statement, his sort of, Jerry Maguire type manifesto saying that my guy wants to be your quarterback. He wants to be paid appropriately. Don't you think that whatever conversations that Steve Keim, the GM there, and Michael Bidwell, the owner, is there, that's had with Eric Burkhart, Kyler's representative, whatever framework was working on, got completely changed by the Watson contract? Don't you think?
100%. Not even a maybe, or probably 100%. And as with every one of these guys that are coming up here soon that are playing at such a high level, everything's changed. Now, there is a compromise outcome,
okay,
and it's dependent upon the quarterback, really. Because if you do a 3 or 4 year deal, and what Cleveland did is still problematic, but massively less problematic. What Cleveland did that created such a problem for everybody is they went out 5 years, made him the top-paid guy, skipping Rodgers' contract, which is written in kind of funny way for the moment when I say that, fully guaranteed the whole thing, and he's a guy that has a whole bunch of off-field problems. You didn't even get the normal forfeiture of guarantee language that we get in contracts with even players that have absolutely no questions whatsoever about their character. So it was the details of it that made it so problematic. Now, if Kyler Murray said, listen, I'll sign a 3-year deal because I think the cap is going to go up in 3 years, I'm going to give him a bigger deal than you can give me now, I think Arizona would feel like they were lucky and they won. And then the amount of money needed to put in escrow and all the rest of that stuff goes down very dramatically. But I'm certainly, if I'm a player, I'm trying to figure out, well, why in the world should Deshaun Watson get anything I didn't get? And again, I'm talking about the top guys when I say that, the Burrows and the Herberts. But that will be the fight. I mean, they're sitting there going, listen, either you get a partially guaranteed deal at the right average, or we can give you a very high average and a fully guaranteed contract, but they'll say it has to be 3 years. and then maybe they compromise at 4. That's the only way these teams and these owners, they have strong philosophical objections to what happened. That's the only compromise I can even think of how do I keep this guy. I mean, it's Joe Burrow. I'm not letting him go. But everything I've done for the last 40 years of my life as an owner of the team says everything Cleveland did is everything I don't believe in. Maybe they go to a shorter-term deal as a compromise to at least get it done. And listen, there is an argument from the players' side. With the way the cap is going to go up, maybe I'm better going back to the market 3 years. I got some choices if I want to go to another team, or this isn't the right place for me, and instead of waiting 5 years, I have to wait 3. I'm getting a fully guaranteed contract. And probably the quarterback's going to make even more money 3 years from now than 5 years from now. It's not a crazy thing for a player to think of doing. And it won't eliminate, it will mitigate the damage that the Watson contract did to the market as a whole.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.